This is an answer key and explanation for the ladder that we did on Thursday, November 3rd. And here's the first problem. It is a negative divided by a negative, and the answer is going to be positive. So we'll just put a little positive right there. And we're going to do 95 and 34 thousandths. And we're going to divide it by 0.7. So we have to multiply both of these by 10. That moves to get that decimal out of the divisor. And that moves the decimal point over to right there. So we'll just rewrite this as 950 and 34 hundredths divided by 7. So 7 goes into 9 once, 2 left over. 3 times 7 is 21. 4 left over, this 0 comes down. 5 times 7 is 35. 5 left over, the decimal point goes right there. And we get a 3, and that's a 7, 49, 4 left over, and the zeros just keep coming down, so we just keep adding zeros and bringing them down, and this just keeps going. The next is 6. 6 times 7 is 42. Let's find the mistake here. Oh, it should be a 44 right there. Didn't bring down, I brought down a 0 a little too early. So we'll go like that. And so that's 42. 2 left over now is when we bring down the 0. And then 7 times 2 is 14. And 6, bring down another 0. We don't have to actually put the zeros there. We can just put the 0 right here. And this is an 8. And it just keeps going. It does eventually repeat, which we're going to talk about in class on Friday. But we can just put the answer of 135.7628, and it keeps going, and we'll talk about that later, but that's as far as you needed to go on that one. All right, this is and the answer was positive. The answer here is going to be negative, so we're going to do 40 and 158 thousandths divided by 0.6. And so we're going to move the decimal point over, and really this is going to be 6 into 401.58. So we could do 6 times 6 is 36. 4 left over. 6 times 6, and the decimal point's going to go right there. 36. With 5 left over. And we could put a 9 right here. And that's 54. 1 left over. And then a 3. 3 times 6 is 18. So that goes to 0. 18 goes to 0. All right, so this is a negative 66.93. All right, this is a negative divided by a negative, so we know that the answer is going to be positive. And we'll do 72.24. Oops. Let's erase that. There's my eraser. All right. 0.24, and we're going to divide that by 0.4. We move this decimal point over, move this decimal point over. That's multiplying both by 10. So it's 722.4 divided by 4. And just going to make some room here so I don't squeeze that in there too much. Okay, the decimal point is going to go right there. 1 times 4 is 4. 3 left over. Here's where a lot of people miss what's going to happen next, so please pay attention. 8 times 4 is 32. There's 0 left over, and this 2 comes down. And I can't make a group of 4 out of 2, so I have to do 0. So 0 times 4 is 0. 2 left over. Then I bring down this 4, and that's where we get 180.6. And we know the answer is going to be positive. And that was the first step of the ladder. Second step is 7.4 divided by 0.04. I have to move this 2 places, so I have to move this 2 places. So essentially we're doing 740 divided by 4. The decimal point is right there. Probably won't need it. Goes in here once. 4 goes into 7 once. 4 goes into 34 8 times. Bring this is the 0 right here, where we get this 5. And so 4 times 5 is 20. We have none, we didn't need the decimal point. This one is just 185. This is a negative divided by, oh, let's check that last one. Yep, just positive. This one's a negative divided by a positive, so the answer is going to be negative. So 54 divided by 0.02. I'm going to move that decimal point 2 places. There's a decimal point right here. So really it's 5400 divided by 2, and the answer is going to be negative. So 2, 1 left over, 7, and we bring down this 0. 0 times 0 is 0 times 2 is 0, and we bring down, so technically we could just go like this and bring this one down. And the reason I'm doing that is because we need to make sure that we get the decimal point in the right place. So that is negative 2700. And the last one on step 2 is a negative times a positive, so I know the answer is going to be negative. So 21.41 divided by 0.6. I have to move that decimal point 1 place. So I'll move it 1 place. So this is 214.1 divided by 6. The decimal point is right there. Just goes straight up. Can't make any groups of 6 out of 2. I could make 3 groups out of 21 with 3 left over. 5 groups. 5 times 6 is 30. 4 left over. 1. 6 times 6 is 36. And I've got 4 left over. And I don't have any more numbers, so I can just put zeros. And so, let's see. Oh, that was a 5. Whoops. And so this is an 8. 8 times 6 is 48. 2 left over. And then once we hit 20, then watch what happens. 3 times 6 is 18, is 2, with a 0, and the 3's just keep going. We just keep ending up with 2 left over, so those 3's repeat. So this is negative 35.683 repeating. Okay, let's go to step 3. And we're going to do 1 and 4/6 divided by negative 3/5. We know the answer is going to be negative. So we're going to have a negative answer. And 4/6 is the same as 2/3, so I might as well use that. Divided by 5/3, that's the same as 5/3 divided by 5/3. Well, if you divide anything by itself, it's equal to 1. So this is going to be negative 1. This is a positive divided by a positive. So 4 and 4 tenths is the same as 4 and 2 fifths is the same as 22 fifths. So 22 fifths divided by 5 ninths is the same as 22 fifths times the reciprocal of 5 ninths, which is 9 fifths. And I can't pre-simplify anything here, so we'll just do 9 times 22 and that is 198. 5 times 5 is 25. So we've got 1, and the answer is going to be positive, 198 25ths. And if I do 198 divided by 25, I'm going to get 7. 7 times 25 is, let's see, 175. Let's see what we have left over. We've got 23 left over. So 7 and 23 25ths. This answer is going to be negative. So I've got negative 3/6 equals negative 1/2. I always try to simplify first if I can, because then I don't have to simplify later. Divided by, we'll just do it right here. 5 times 3 is 15 plus 4 is 19 fifths. And that is the same as 1/2 multiplied by 5/19. So that is 5/38, and we know the answer is negative, so it's negative 5/38. Okay, that's it for step 3. Step 4. Step 4, 3.4 minus a negative 1.7 is the same as adding the opposite of negative 1.7. The opposite of that is 1.7. So I'm going to do that first, see what I get. I'll just add it right here, 5.1. So I'll rewrite this as 5.1 minus a 1.6. And I get 3.5. So this one is 3.5. This one's interesting because negative 1.8 subtract the same thing means that we're at 0. 0 minus a negative 4.8 is the same as adding the opposite of that, so the answer on this is 4.8. We're starting at negative 1 and we're subtracting negative 1 plus the opposite of 1.0 is negative 1. Don't need the 0.0. Subtract 3 is same as adding negative 3. So this is just more and more negative combining together to get negative 5. Negative 5. And if this is really a positive 6 plus a negative 6. So they cancel each other out. And the answer is negative 2.9. Okay, so that was step 4. Step 5, negative 4.6 minus a negative 4.8 is the same as adding 4.8, the opposite of negative 4.8. So we're going to find the difference between these two, and the answer is going to be positive. So 4.8, the difference is 0.2. So we're at 0.2 minus 1.5. This is positive. This one's negative. I'm going to find the difference. Okay, 1.5 minus 0.2 is 1.3. And there's more positive than negative. There's more negative than positive. This is more than this. That means this is negative 1.3. Okay, 1 minus a negative 1.6, that's the same as 1 plus 1.6. So that's 2.6. And subtracting 5 is the same as adding the opposite of negative, or subtracting negative 5 is the same as adding the opposite of negative 5, which is 5. So 5 and 2.6 is, oops, what I did there, I almost added the wrong place values. It's really 5.0, so that's 7.6. So this one is 7.6. 0 plus a negative 0.5 plus a negative 3, so this is negative plus negative is even more negative, so that's negative 3.5. 4.7 plus a negative 2.6, we have to find the difference. This one's positive, this one is negative, this one's bigger, so the answer is going to be positive. 4.7 minus 2.6 is 2.1 in the positive, and then we're going to subtract a negative 3.5. That's the same as adding 3.5, so 2.1 plus 3.5, 5.6. So this answer is positive 5.6. Okay, step 6. This 3.4 minus a negative 1.7 is the same as adding the opposite. So we're going to add those together, 3.4 and 1.7. We get 5.1 in the positive, and then we're going to subtract 1.6 from it, 1.6. Decimal point goes straight down, we get 3.5. Negative 1.8, subtract a negative 1.8 just goes to 0. If we subtract a negative 4.8, we get 4.8. I feel like this one was the same as one up here. I'm just looking up here. I didn't realize that step 4 and step 6 are the same step, because we didn't really get to step 6 in class. But I'm just going to double check here. That'll save us a little time. Let's see, step. Yep. All right. So we've already done that. I'm going to say C step 4. Okay. And step 7. 8/3 divided by 6 is the same as 8/3 multiplied by the multiplicative inverse of 6 is 1/6. And we can pre-simplify. 2 goes into 6 3 times, 2 goes into 8 4 times. So this is equal to 4/9. Okay, this is a negative divided by negative, so the answer is going to be positive. 2/3 divided by 7 is the same as 2/3 multiplied by 1/7. So we get 2/21. This is equal to 2/21. And finally, we're going to have a positive divided by positive. 3/2 divided by 3 over 1 is equivalent to 3 halves times 1/3. These pre-simplify to 1, so this is 1/2. Right, that is the answer key for the ladder that we did on Thursday, 11-3.